Alpine was playing at home against Clint Mountain View. Mountain View picks up a 38-33 win over the Bucks and their new head coach, Andy Smith. Stanton had a nice night tonight. They were on the road taking on Grape Creek out there by San Angelo. Stanton Buffalo, speaking of new coaches, Billy Rushing and his new offense put up 42 on Grape Creek as Stanton starts the season 1-0.
Should be pretty happy about that.
Kermit, they had a lot of points put onto them as the Yellow Jackets lose 72-12 on the road at Miles. There's another new coaching staff there in Kermit, and I think they'll get things figured out. Just a tough week 1 game.
Yes. Now taking it over to Ira Ann versus LaPrire. Ira Ann able to put up 38 points, Jacob, and hold LaPrire to 0.
All right, so we got a few extra scores in there for the folks, but
yes,
if we haven't talked about your team yet, or you feel like we didn't go in depth enough perhaps talking about your team, we've got lots more time over on our CBS 7 YouTube channel. So go there to YouTube, watch us there. We have no time constraints, no commercials. We can talk as long as we want, Jair.
Oh, pretty fun, Jacob. I'm real excited for this.
But we do have to go home at some point, so you have to stop at some point. We want to thank Jersey Girl Pizza for feeding our Friday night crew. And now, don't go anywhere because we will see you over on our CBS 7 YouTube page here starting in just a few seconds.
Live from the leader of high school football coverage in the Permian Basin, this is CBS 7's Friday Night Blitz, brought to you by World Auto, United Supermarkets, and Dr. Pepper. Now here's CBS Sports Director Jacob Brandenburg and Jair Brooks Davis.
All right, welcome into the Permian Basin's most experienced high school football show. We just did 15 minutes over on CBS 7, and now, free from the shackles of traditional TV, we can talk as much as we want here on YouTube, Jair.
It's very exciting, Jacob. All the free time in the world just to go over our games that we covered. So, I mean, how much better can it be?
We claim to be the most in-depth high school football show, and we're about to go in-depth here. We're going to start with a game that you were at tonight. That was the Midland High game.
It was very exciting, folks. We just have to take it over to the highlights. So, here come the Midland High Bulldogs through the purple haze. Now, they would get the opening kick return, Jacob. So, El Paso kicks us over to Elijah McCoy, the younger brother of Mecky McCoy. But he runs like a beast. On the opening kick where he returns, he passes some defenders, he dodges them, and he finds some open space. He turns on the Jets as he takes it to the house for a touchdown to begin the 2023 season. Bulldogs added 2 more on a conversion. Second possession, they were on the goal line. The handoff goes to McCoy again for TD number 2 of the evening. Midland High got the extra point and led 15-0. So second quarter, it all went downhill for El Paso. They couldn't get a handle on the punt, and Midland High secures the ball, control close to the end zone. Quarterback Tristan Luffy takes advantage of this opportunity as he's going to air this out to Anthony Kolb, who gets the reception, and it's a touchdown as the Bulldogs lead 22-0. Now on the following possession, Love is going to step back, and he finds a receiver, and it's Alex Gonzalez before the end of the half as Midland High takes a 29-0 lead heading into half, and the final score for tonight was Midland High 39, Montwood 14.
Midland High doing this all with, you mentioned, a sophomore quarterback, Tristan Love, playing in place for the injured Stroman Bridges. How did their quarterback look tonight, Jair?
He looks pretty good, Jacob. He looks pretty settled in there. He also had a pretty nice run that was called back. I couldn't show that for time constraints, especially, obviously. But I'm telling you, Jacob, Midland High, they can make some really big noise, or they can make a lot of noise in district play this year, I feel.
All right, we'll keep an eye on it. Speaking of that district, Permian, they were at home tonight hosting old district rival Abilene High. These teams both rich in high school football tradition. First drive of the game for Abilene, they move the ball down the field. This is their quarterback, Dylan Slack, taking a deep shot. Rylan Bradford, what a catch with one hand. Goes up and gets that one. We've got to show it to you one more time as he scores there. Just stuck his hand up at the ball, like stuck to it, like he's got stickum or something on his fingers.
Some crazy glue there, Jake.
Maybe some crazy glue, you're right. So Abilene here with the ball once again. Eagles on the move, but Permian pressure gets there quickly. Riley Summerford dragging down the quarterback for a sack. But Abilene would keep that drive alive. Slack rolls out. This one, is it caught in the end zone? Jackson Hole holds the ball up, says, yes, look, I caught it. And the referees, they agree with him. 14-0, Abilene leads. Second quarter, Permian threatening. Jacob Garcia over the middle, but it's picked off. Bryce Nevis returning this one for Abilene. That's a sophomore quarterback. Jacob Garcia there for Permian. Mojo was down 35-0 at halftime. Things didn't get much better in the second half as Permian loses its season opener 49-14 to the Abilene Eagles.
It is just game one, Jake. Just game one of the new season. So.
And of course, it's new for everybody, and these are non-district games, so they don't actually affect what you may do in the playoffs. I think Permian just got a little shocked right away in that one. You saw that terrific catch by Abilene High. That was on their first drive of the game. Permian, they really didn't do anything with their first drive of the game, and it just kind of kept spiraling that way. The Permian kept having to punt the ball back, and they couldn't stop the Abilene Eagles.
Yes, we'll see how Permian does next week, Jacob. We'll see how they do.
All right, we'll look at some of our other District 2 6A games. Odessa High was in Lubbock.
Yes, they were, Jacob. So the Odessa High Broncos, they kicked off their season in Lubbock, taking on the Monterey Plainsmen. They were down by 7 early. Broncos quarterback Mikey Cota looks for a target, and he launches this bomb to the 6'6" Ivan Carrion for OHS's first touchdown of the season. Odessa High would miss the extra point, and the Plainsmen would score again. So later on, Cota would find Carrion once again. He wiggles around past some defenders, but they were able to catch up with him, and they need a whole lot of guys.
Takes a lot of people to bring him down.
That is very true. So in the last drive of the first half, Cota launches the ball over to Andrew Rodriguez for the first down. He goes out of bounds for, as I said, a first down. So this reception would become very important with 2 seconds left on the clock. On 4th and 2, Cota lobs it back to Rodriguez, and is it a touchdown? It is! So he tiptoed into the end zone on the last play. Broncos, they're able to go for a 2-point conversion. Cota finds Broncos wide receiver Jalen Warren wide open to send them into the half, tied at 14 each. But let's just check out the final score of that game. Monterey, they were able to get the win tonight, Jacob. 44-42.
You see it last year, this game was a shootout again this season. That game last year, 42-39, and this time Plainsmen come back and they get the win in this game. Not last second, about 30 seconds left, Monterey went down, kicked a field goal after OHS had taken the lead with about a minute left.
That's pretty tough, Jake. That's pretty tough, man.
And OHS defense, we've talked about it this offseason,
yes.
that's something that's going to need to improve for them to get better than they had the last 2 seasons. Not probably the start that they were hoping for.
Absolutely not, no, Jacob. But anyways, there were more games, and hey, the Legacy Rebels, they were able to put up a defensive front tonight.
Yeah, Legacy looked good tonight. Here they were up in Amarillo playing Wildcat formation. Gilbert Hernandez, a linebacker for the Rebels, takes the snap and runs into the end zone for their first touchdown of the season, 7-0 Legacy. Second quarter, 7-7 the score now. Marcos Davila throws this one. Caden Ellis out there. I think he caught it with one hand. Touchdown by their electric sophomore receiver, Ellis.
Ooh.
Now, right before halftime, Davila, he fakes the run, throws it to Ellis again, and the sophomore finds pay dirt again. Legacy 21-7 at that point. Third quarter here, Davila not done. Lobs this one up to Aiden Serrano. Serrano runs under it, bobbles it, but holds on for the catch. Touchdown Rebels, the third from Davila in that game. And Legacy cruises to a 35-7 win over the Amarillo Sandies.
Now, Caden Ellis, he is a sophomore. You said, Jacob, he is a sophomore, right?
Yeah, he is. He's part of a very strong sophomore class that Legacy has.
You were telling me all about that last year, Jacob, and seeing what he was able to do in track and field and everything heading into this season, I was very excited to watch him. So, Glenn Hartman, he has some pretty good weapons. Marcos Davila, he has some pretty good weapons as well, too.
When you saw Serrano there make a catch, he was a sophomore last year, now a junior, and he's really come along. They kind of moved him to the outside receiver spot for the Rebels. They really like him in that spot. Here is a game that was very high scoring, a little crosstown battle between the Midland Trinity Chargers and the Midland Holy Cross Catholic Crusaders. Both these teams are 6-man football teams. That kind of explains the high scoring you see in this one.
Yeah.
66-61, Trinity able to edge Holy Cross and win that game. Now, Jair, we've got to take, well, actually, we don't take breaks in this show. I just remembered. I get so used to the normal routine and pattern of this thing, but now we just don't take breaks.
It's all gas, no breaks. This is YouTube. This is for our people. This is for our viewers that watch us, Jake. We can go all gas for them. Come on, man. What's the point of having a break? I don't believe in that. Okay.
All right, here, we're told we have some interactive capabilities because we're on YouTube. Comment which team it is that you're watching for, that you're rooting for tonight. If your team won tonight, who it is that you support. Put that in the comments here on YouTube because now we have this interactive thing, and they're going to talk to me in my ear, I think, and try to tell me, who's out there rooting for their teams. Let's take a look here at our CBS 7 Band of the Week.
Here's tonight's Band of the Week, brought to you by Midland College.
All right, Coahoma and Forsan faced off to be the Band of the Week this week. Almost 7,000 of you voted. That's pretty good. We've seen some bigger numbers, even out of these two small schools, but we'll take the 7,000 votes. Coahoma, 3,873 votes, as they are our CBS 7 Band of the Week over Forsan for the second year in a row.
Now, Jacob, over this.
Brings up second down.
Okay, so Coahoma won the Band of the Week. They also won the football game played between these two. A fantastic game tonight as Coahoma beats Forsan 50-34. Second straight year that the Bulldogs have come away as the Howard County Bowl champion.
Ouch. That's a pretty tough one, Jake.
All right, we'll continue looking at some of our scores around West Texas tonight. Crane was playing at McCamey. This is a little bit of a nearby rivalry between two schools, not separated by a very large distance. Landon Urias there making the catch for a big gain before he's dragged down. Now at the goal line, quarterback Grant Glidewell diving across the goal line in for the touchdown. Awesome looking play there as McCamey takes the lead. Later on, Glidewell back to pass. He is going deep again. This one to Edgar Quinones. He makes one man miss. Whoop! And he's going to try to duck under this guy as well, but kind of gets his head taken off a little bit, but a big gain there. Like before, Glidewell on the quarterback power finds the end zone. 14-0. This one all McCamey so far.
Okay.
Crane's Tyson Brents with a pump fake. He's thrown it deep right toward us. Lucas Bernard goes up and gets it. A great catch for the touchdown. Bernard a little shaken up because he made a great fall there coming from so high, but he'd be okay. Crane's Grayson Huertas now rumbling through the defense. And before he goes out of bounds, he's going to take a little body with him, running over a Badger there on the sideline. Here, Brents rolls out, breaks out of a sack, finds Elijah Hernandez. Hernandez, whoop, jukes out one guy, in for the score. Another high-scoring game. All these Week 1 games, really high-scoring. Crane puts half 100 on McCamey. 50-32, the Golden Cranes win.
And the Golden Cranes, they were trailing 14-0, right, Jacob?
They were down 14-0.
That goes to show that there was actually a lot of time left on the clock for them to come back and put up 50 points.
And they've got a young quarterback, Tyson Brents, who I know you interviewed before the season. Based off just those highlights, he looked pretty good.
Yes, he did. The coaches, they were very confident in him, along with his receivers, along with his running backs. So Crane, they should have a pretty good year, especially, and, well, hey, Brents, he's replacing Keaton Cena. So I see Crane having a pretty good season, Jake.
They've won that district 4 years in a row now, something like that. So could be another big season for the Crane Golden Cranes.
It's a tradition.
All right, McCamey's big rival, Wink. Jair, what did Wink do tonight?
So let's start off with Mario Lucio. He is searching for this pass from Cason Brown. And, well, hey, this is Reagan County, but he was able to get that touchdown, a little celebration action afterward. So Wink was looking for a comeback. Jeremiah Gallardo runs for 15 yards before getting pushed out of bounds by the defense. Later on, Gallardo looking for a target. He finds Zach Yaktoyo, who gets the reception. He's able to gain a few yards for a first down. So now later on, we're going to take it, a little fumble on the snap, but hey, a recovery, and then Wink is able to score. So let's just check out that final score that is right now.
Well, that's what I was trying to check on my phone, Jair. This game is not final, or I think they did just end. Is it going to overtime? I've got it right now on the Wink Loving ISD Facebook page. This game just ended. Wink Loving ISD has it as final, and I trust Wink Loving ISD. Final score, Wink wins 54-48 over Reagan County. We thought this game might be headed to overtime, or maybe this was, I think maybe was the overtime score perhaps, because I think they went in tied 48-48, so this could have actually been in overtime that game ended, but Wink, it is final, according to Wink ISD. So we'll go with that Wink wins this game 54-48, and another Week 1 shootout between some of our teams.
Yes, that is right, Jake. According to the graphic, it says overtime.
Okay, yeah, here. I looked at another Facebook post. Wink Loving ISD, they are great on Facebook at giving updates. If your school doesn't give updates on scores and things, it is very troubling for us. So yeah, 48-48, it went into overtime. What I would guess is that Reagan County had the ball first, did not score on their chance. Wink got the ball second, scored a touchdown. No need for an extra point because you just walked off and won the football game.
I'm sure that head coach, Coach Gibson, is pretty happy up there. Must be very fired up, especially having a new quarterback, Jacob.
Well, he had to be sweating that one out, but yeah, I'm sure very happy to have that one. You mentioned it's a new quarterback for them, Jeremiah Gallardo. We saw him a little bit in the highlights there. We'll talk about it here for a second. They have two quarterbacks. They have Jaden Talley, who's been there. He's been the backup for Cannon Gibson out there in Wink. Gallardo's a transfer in from Kermit. Looked like, at least in our highlights, but very little we get to see of the game. Gallardo was getting snaps. But I think I'm assuming Jaden got work in this game too.
Yes, I'm assuming so as well too. We'll check out those highlights again, but it's going to be fun watching what the Wink Wildcats could do in 2023. Two quarterbacks, and they're both capable of a lot.
And Wink's one of our best, most consistent programs, I guess we should say, in our area. Went to the third round of playoffs last season, and think they maybe could have gone even further had they not lost that third round game against eventual state champion, Albany. Speaking of great teams in our area, Jair, we probably had the best six-man football game in all of Texas was here in our area tonight, as Balmorhea, number 3 team in the state, took on Rankin, number 7 team in the state.
Yeah, so let's just check that out. We're going to start it off with my guy, Barrett Jackson, on the run. He gains quite a few yards downfield. Now, Balmorhea defense, they were having trouble before catching up with Jackson, who gets brought down by Balmorhea's Elijah Jefferson. Now, afterwards, by the goal line, Jackson breaking ankles, Jacob, on this play. He makes it into the end zone for the TD. So on the next possession, Dash Davis on the run, throws, pass is tipped by Case Kuster, then caught by Blake Bunger for the TD. Later on, Dash Davis finds Blake Bunger.
Dash Davis.
Yes, Dash Davis, who's able to that's Blake Bunger on the reception. He gains quite a few yards. Balmorhea in chase, Elijah Jefferson having some trouble bringing him down, but he brings him down close by the goal line. Now later on, here's a little bit of some trickery. Jackson fools our cameraman for another touchdown on the night. Balmorhea looking for a way to get back in this game. Elijah Jefferson, he pushes into the end zone for the touchdown with the help of some of his linemen. But it was all Rankin at the end of the night, though. This time, they're going to find Colton Bunger for the touchdown reception. Now,
how many Bungers are there?
There's just a lot, Jacob. We just have to check out the final score. Just check out the final score. It was Rankin 68, Balmorhea 18. I visited Rankin, Jacob. I visited Rankin for our pigskin preview. They have a little bit of a change in personnel over there, but so far they're looking pretty sharp, especially with what they did against Balmorhea.
It's very impressive because he beat one of the best teams in the state. Balmorhea, a team that could still go on and win the state title for all we're concerned. They're ranked number 3 here in the season to start out the year. Rankin a D1 school, Balmorhea a D2 school, so Rankin's a little bigger, and I know in recent years they've had the Bears number when they play this early season game. Coach Vance Jones down there at Balmorhea told me that's why we play Rankin week 1, because it lets us know where we're at against one of the other best teams in the state. It's always a good test for them and lets them know what they need to maybe do better here throughout the rest of their schedule.
Yeah, well, we'll see how Balmorhea does in the upcoming weeks when they get back to playing 1-18, Jacob. We'll see what happens.
Let's talk about the Monahans Lobos, a favorite of ours around here. I'm sorry we were not out in Monahans for highlights of this game, but we'll be covering a lot of Monahans football, especially if they make a run into the regional championship game like they did last season. Monahans, no problem tonight with shallow water as the Lobos win 48-7. Jair, of course, the big story for Monahans is their offense led by their quarterback, Chino Navarrete.
I'll say this about Chino. He is a joy to watch over there, Jacob. Just going out to the playoffs last year, just watching what Chino was able to do on the run and his passing game. I mean, it's going to be fun to watch what he could do in his final season as a Monahan Lobo.
And this is his 4th year as the starting quarterback in Monahans. He's been starting there since he was a freshman. He's obviously an outstanding player, one of the best we have in our area, and Monahans has a good team around him as well. Staying in that district, Monahans district, they have Fort Stockton in there. Fort Stockton went on the road to El Paso tonight, and the Panthers beat El Paso Austin 21-13.
Here's tonight's Player of the Week, brought to you by New Tech Commercial Roofing.
Now, our CBS 7's Player of the Week is Midland High's senior defensive back, Jackson Kidd. He is recovering from a C5 vertebrae injury he sustained in a scrimmage several weeks ago. Head coach Thad Fortune spoke earlier this week about what Jackson means to the team.
He's still a huge part of our program. The only thing that's changed is he won't be running out there on Friday nights, but his role hasn't changed, his influence hasn't changed. Like I said, he's on our leadership council. He's been at every leadership council meeting, on the phone, on speaker with us. It could have been a lot worse. And so while I hate to lose him on the football field, it's a blessing that the only thing that he lost is, playing football.
All right, great story there out of Midland High, wishing Jackson continued prayers and a speedy recovery with his recovery from that injury. Here was a wild game last night, Jair. Greenwood Estacado. That's Dylan Dominguez punching that one in for the first Greenwood touchdown of the season. Estacado tried to answer here, but it's picked off by Nathaniel Romero. Romero returning this one before he slides down. A lot of momentum suddenly shifting to the Rangers. Very next play, Lincoln Madrid rolls to his right. Throw back this way to Dominguez. He's got just the ref and me on this side of the field. Dominguez down the sideline and into the end zone. Greenwood took the lead on that play. Unfortunately, though, they would go down by 22 points at halftime, so it was 37-15 at halftime of this game yesterday in Lubbock. And Greenwood just kept scoring in the second half, but every time they scored, Estacado would score. And so the differential there, the deficit stayed about the same as Estacado wins 65-51. Greenwood's offense, most points they put up is what they shared on social media. I saw most points they put up since their state semifinal run in 2019. So I think Brian Hill's new offense there for Greenwood is going to be a lot of fun to watch this year. He's a defensive guy. I imagine he'll get the defense figured out.
Yes, Jacob. Now, you visited Greenwood for a pigskin preview. Can you just tell me your expectations heading into 2023 for the Rangers?
Well, they're certainly a playoff team, I think. They play in a tough district. They play in a district that goes east of here, so they have no other teams from our area in their district. They play teams from the Wichita Falls area, like Graham and Wichita Falls Hershey, which, again, are tough programs, but I think Greenwood's got a playoff team. I was impressed by what I saw from their offense in last night's game. I think it's going to be fun to watch. I think Lincoln Madrid, who's a sophomore quarterback for them, he had a few sophomore mistakes, but I think he also threw 5 touchdowns in this game. So he, I think, could be in for a nice season. And we have a lot of sophomore quarterbacks. I guess that makes sense because we lost a lot of senior quarterbacks, a lot of guys we were familiar with last year. A lot of new faces running a lot of these teams. One quarterback who is back this year is Big Spring's quarterback, Gavin Padron, one of the leading passers in the whole state of Texas, actually.
Gavin Padron for Big Spring, yes. I was getting him confused with somebody else. Yes, Pampa, they were able to get the win over Big Spring. Jacob, sorry, I got myself confused with someone else.
And it's Pampa we've talked about.
Pampa, I'm sorry.
All right, it's okay. They're probably not watching us up there in the Panhandle area, but we'll see. I know we're sharing video now with our Panhandle friends. So Big Spring, though, loses this one 35-25, like you mentioned, to the Pampa Harvesters. Andrews, they were on the road up there in the Panhandle as well, taking on Canyon Randall, and this is a nice win for Andrews as they beat the Randall Raiders 32-21.
Yes, I got Big Spring confused with Andrews.
They're black and gold. They're in the same district.
Yes.
It happens.
Yeah, so Aiden Olivas. Yeah, so yes, they're Andrews is welcoming in a new quarterback and a whole new offense, Jacob. So we have to keep an eye on what the Mustangs are going to do in 2023. It should be fun to watch.
You mentioned they switched from the spread offense into a wing T offense, which is an old school triple option, run the ball all the time kind of thing. And didn't seem to affect them. The transition maybe going pretty well there as they put up 32 points in this game.
Yes, they have Jayshawn DeBose, Jacob.
And that's right. It's another sophomore running back who's a very good player there in Andrews. Clint Mountain View was in Alpine taking on our beloved Fightin' Bucks. Mountain View, though, escapes with a 38-33 win. Stanton, they were on the road taking on Grape Creek. The Buffaloes put up 42 points in their first game under their new head coach, Billy Rushing. Rushing comes from Canyon High School. He's an offensive guy, brings that offense with him. It's another one of those kind of modern power spread type deals. We're going to spread the field out, but we're going to run motions. We're going to run our quarterback. We're not afraid to run the football, play with some tempo. And that seems to be going well, at least in this first game against Grape Creek, as Stanton puts up 42 points. Yeah. Kermit, they have a new head coach and new coaching staff this year. Tough first game for them, though, as they go on the road to Miles and lose 72-12.
Yes, now moving on over to Ira Ann, they took on LaPrire.
Go Braves.
Yeah, so how about this? 38-0. I'm sure that Coach Bowman must be happy with his son at quarterback, along with the other receivers that he has on the team. They could go run, they could pass, and they have a pretty solid defense coming into 2023, Jacob.
This could be a big year for Ira Ann, I think, because they've had a couple down years here in a row. I think it's going on 3 or 4 years where it's been tough for them. They have an older team now, a little more experienced team, like you mentioned, so maybe they can make some noise this season. Good start, shutout start, 38-0. Some 6-man action. Sanderson taking on Marfa. I know my Sanderson story about them having only 6 healthy players has gotten a lot of traction on social media. I also visited the Marfa Shorthorns. They win this one 71-28. A valiant effort, I'm sure, from our Sanderson Iron Eagles. And a nice start for the Marfa Shorthorns as well as they try to make a playoff push this season. They win 71-28. Big game next week for Marfa as they take on Balmorhea. This was a game from last night, Jair.
Yes, it was the Jayton Jaybirds, interesting name, taking on the Garden City Bearcats. Jayton was able to get the win 68-20, Jake. And moving on over to Grand Falls Cowboys versus the Fort Hancock Mustangs. Grand Falls was able to get the win 57-12.
Say they 45'd them. That's one of them 45-point halftime Murphy rules that you get in Texas six-man football.
45? I've never heard of that.
Well, there you go. You learned something
I learned something new today.
If you're up by 45 at any point in the second half, you win the football game. So at halftime, if you're up 45, you win. It's six-man football. That's the Mercy rule for you.
Okay. Well.
All right, some more six-man action. This was probably a Mercy rule as well. Fort Davis Indians beat, I think they're from El Paso, Emmanuel, is where that school is from.
Yes, they are.
Fort Davis wins 62-12. Buena Vista, a tight one that they win over Erie County, 46-42.
Must be fun for the fans.
Must be fun for the fans, you're right.
Yes.
Grady, they were at Amherst. Amherst beats our Wildcats 52-24. The Sands Mustangs were on the road at Hermleigh. Hermleigh wins that game 52-30. And Jair, I think we've actually made it through every game. We didn't get to every game in our usual CBS 7 show like we like to, but that's the beauty of having this YouTube time, is we can talk about everybody and talk at a little more length about everybody.
Yes, we could go a lot more in depth. We could just see, we could take our time more with scores, just, going back into not that much time, but going back, we could talk about our pigskin previews a little bit and just talk about, what we learned about those teams from, August, and, if it's going to implement sort of in October, September, Jake, what do you think?
All right. I think it was a great first night of high school football. We got almost everything done. I think what kind of stood out to me was all the high scoring going on in these games. I mean, you have teams that they don't really tackle anymore in practice. You maybe got 1-2 scrimmages. You get to maybe tackle a little live, but it's still different than trying to tackle somebody in a real game.
Now, let me bring this up. You said a very interesting first night. What got me was the fact that a kickoff happens and Elijah McCoy could come back down.
That was impressive.
And I was so fired up. I had to make sure that I wasn't shaking the camera, because a part of me was just like, oh man, I was pretty fired up. The crowd was pretty fired up, but it was a pretty electric atmosphere, Jacob. I really missed it over the past few months.
And looking at our 6A schools, both the Midland schools, Legacy Midland High, start their seasons with a win. You have two Odessa schools, Odessa High Permian, start their seasons with losses, and we'll be looking to bounce back next week. We want to thank Jersey Girl Pizza again for providing us with food here for our Friday Night Blitz show, and we thank you for joining us here on YouTube. You can do this every week. Hopefully, subscribe. You'll get some notifications if you do that, because it'll let you know when we go live. If you subscribe to this page, you won't miss any of these extra Friday Night Blitz shows. Who am I saying thank you to? Thank you to our new subscribers. You have subscribed. Again, that's a great thing to do, because then you won't miss out when we go live. And thank you for your comments, and we look forward to continuing to do this every week here on the CBS 7 Friday Night Blitz. We'll see you next week.